Hello humans, Master Dinnerflex here, bringing you the low quality content you deserve, and today is my first video of the new year, and it is within the first week of the year, so we'll see how long this streak lasts of me uploading a video at least once a week. If I do well, I'll give myself a sandwich. If not, that sucks. I'll probably, we'll worry about that later. But today, I wanted to go over Lair of Darkness Labyrinth. Now, the reason I was holding off on this deck profile for a little bit because I wanted to wait until we got closer to Photon Hypertension, but there's no point. It's a month away, and I can't think of anything relevant that matters outside of OYCS for an event we already know how it's going to play out, so I'm not really concerned about it, so I just decided, you know what, let's go ahead and show this off. Now, the reason I decided to play this over regular Labyrinth is because of the starter. So, in Labyrinth, your starter is green and some of the -1 furniture. And I do like the furniture, but I actually don't like green at all. I think it's incredibly fragile. Such an easy bait for so many interactions. And another problem I was noticing is there is still a lot of redundancy. Like, you still had to play Welcome Labyrinth, which independently is not a good card. And then in addition to that, it felt very clunky. And so basically I was thinking, what should I do instead? Because, like, it is a really strong normal summon starter. And then I thought back, what about trying Lilith again? So, each green and Lilith have ups and downs to each of them. So for green, it doesn't pay itself, so it's a straight +1, and then every turn it stays up and you interact with your opponent, you also get a draw that could facilitate more cards and more summons. Like, those are two really good effects, but there's one big catch that, well, actually two things. For one, Lilith, well, actually, let's go back to green. The problem with green, however, it is so easy to interact with and turn off. Like, your opponent sneezes its general direction, that card doesn't resolve. So, that was kind of a problem. It was a problem I was running into all the time. It was really difficult to deal with, and more importantly, going second, it might as well just not be a card, truthfully. So, that was really sucking. But on the other hand, Lilith doesn't have those problems. Your opponent can't just casually negate this card. They have to use, like, some kind of true monster negate on it. In addition, like, there's very few ways to interact with this card on the board. And then finally, unlike green, not only can it search engine cards, but it can go out of engine to draw, like, really strong floodgates or power traps. So I had to decide which one was better, and I decided to go with Lilith because of its ability to go second rather than go first. Labyrinth didn't need help going first, but it needed help going second, so having a starter that is better going into a board I thought was the ultimate deciding factor. Now, even though that's the case, why do I have so many clunky ends of the Ladies of Lament? So that is because of a problem that I notice all the time that happens just with like any trap deck. People try to apply Eldritch theory to trap decks and then wondering why it can like fail them. It's because Eldritch is a Floodgate deck, but it's designed to be one. People just assign Floodgate to trap decks, not realizing the reason Eldritch succeeds isn't because it can play the Floodgates, but because it can do stuff with the Floodgates when it's not winning the game. If Eldritch has its board cleared and is running into problems, they can translate one of those Floodgates into outing a card on board or summoning a 35 beater. So they can turn Floodgates into proactive plays. You cannot do it with this deck. You cannot do it with Labyrinth. They are just stuck there, and if you're not winning, they're not helping you. They're just slowing down you losing. They're not winning you the game, they're just making you lose slower. So I don't like that many Floodgates and trap decks, and the ones I do play, I want to make sure I am in control of when I have access to them in the case of like Necro Valley or DDG. Because if I just plop 3 random skill drains and hope I draw it, it's not just I'm hoping I draw it, I'm hoping I draw it with exactly what I need to pair with it, and that's just not ideal. It really isn't. But on the other side, the monsters that is, one of the reasons trap decks lose a lot is because they like stop their opponent on a turn using a bunch of traps, and then they poke them and then end their turn, not realizing they can just follow up and kind of beat you. You need to have actual aggression in your deck list, and I think Tour Guide being Zeus whenever, or like a bunch of links that can help you link climb, or it's a substitute tutor for Lilith, because 3 Tour Guide is basically also drawing Lilith. So that's like a obvious. But then the other 3, they allow you to have a layer of aggression that can let you not only play through interactions, but also get really aggressive and go for game a lot more frequently. Which is why I like them. Now, you can trim down some of these, like Malice. The only reason I'm playing it is because while Metaverse is at 3, you can Lair of Darkness with Lilith and a Ties plate, and then activate Metaverse for another layer and get another tribute. It's like the only reason I'm trying it out, but I would recommend like 6, 7, or 8 of the level 3 Dark Fiends for Ties, because Ties is such a powerful interaction. It really is. Now, for the spells, we got 3 Extrav, 3 Ties, 2 Lair, 1 Necro Valley, 1 Labyrinth. So, you could do Prosperity, but I think Extrav is a little better for this specific deck list. I really do. You just want to see more cards a lot of the time. And, I was testing randomly Reckless Greed earlier for the memes, and, you can play Extrav in Reckless, but you can't play Prosperity in Reckless. Those two actually just don't allow each other to work together. Whereas Extrav does. So, for the field spells, 2 Lair of Darkness, because it's actually at 5 with Metaverse, or at 8 with Lilith, or at 11 with Tour Guide. You have Lair of Darkness whenever, because of the fact that Metaverse is at 3. And then in addition to that, Necro Valley can turn Metaverse into a Floodgate against you-know-who. And then Labrynth. While this card exists, you don't need to play Back to the Front anymore. And that is so nice. Like, it is actually ridiculous. I grew to despise Back to the Front, but it was a little requirement with the Ladies of Lament because of how that worked. Plenty of times you just weren't going to see Lair and Lilith had to tribute itself or something. And then if you didn't have Back to the Front to kind of promote that playstyle, you just lose over time, and there was nothing you can do about it. But because of this, that's not a factor anymore, and that is very nice. Plus, Muckraker also makes that not a factor anymore, so I don't have to play Back to the Front anymore, which is very nice. 3 Karma Cannon. I like this over Torrential and slightly over the new trap coming out in Photon Hypernova that clears the board. Just because both of those cards send your opponent's cards to the graveyard on their turn, which is really big for them, but this doesn't. You can actually battle over them on your turn, so you decide when they go to the graveyard. And while they're set, those monster zones are completely blank. So I actually think this card is exceptional. It not being once per turn, it outing towers monsters. It's just a really good trap. And it's a way to, like, if you notice you're going to get rushed, because a lot of the times if you want to beat a trap deck, there's a benefit to just rushing your cards and going for game quickly. There's a way to punish that, and I like it a lot. And then 3 DDG. One statement I will say about, like, turn-ending Floodgates is if you don't OTK the next turn, they are just Upstart Goblin. Because the only thing they do is let you see another card on your next turn. So, having a card like this, having any, like, turn-long Floodgate in a trap deck that isn't trying to win the game immediately doesn't make sense. But because this deck can recycle it indefinitely, and in addition, you're searching it because Lilith can get a non-engine traps, I think that's just very good. Sure, it kind of sucks going for a second, but it actually doesn't, because board clears are not as good sending to grave as they are banishing. That's just the truth. So yeah, this is pretty good. Then Big Welcome, obvious. It's much better than Welcome. It's actually, I hate Welcome. I actually hate the normal Welcome in Labyrinth because it's so limited and it's so independently not good. Whereas Big Welcome is independently good. Normal Welcome just needs so many things for it to matter at all. So I was sick of playing it at all. And then Triple Punishment and 2 Overroot, so you don't need to play background removal. Side deck. And this card is kind of poopy, stink bad, but it's better than Shifter. Shifter is incredibly terrible. I have grown so incredibly sick of it. It's like worse than DDG in every way, even including its ability to go second. I don't care. The card's awful in here. I think it's the last moment I played it is when I did a count and I lost more games having it than I won, and I was done with it. I was actually done. But this card is not particularly good. I'm not gonna lie. It's there. I don't know what else it could be. It could be probably anything. And then these ones are actually pretty good. Radion, yeah, it doesn't clear the whole board, but that's not the goal of this card. It's to clear the threat you don't have a card to interact with. That's all it's for. Like, the card you know you can't interact with, just kaiju it. Like, the whole point of me playing this over others is because I know I can interact with most cards, except the one I'm kaijuing. And Arima and Lair are just so good going second, so I just sided them. Yeah, it feels a little weird that they're in the side deck, but honestly, it's the truth. Like, Lair of Darkness is a strong going second tool, which is why you want to have a much higher count when game 2 and 3 rather than other way around. Then evenly matched, pretty cool. Imperm, it exists. And then Boo Boo Game, which allows you to not play Sky Prison, because that card, I'm sick of it. Lady, if you activate a trap while she's up, and let's say your opponent's Feather Dustering you, and you chain DDG, you can chain this to set Boo Boo Game, and it pretty much undoes the Feather Duster, because then you just set all the traps that were destroyed, and they can be activated that turn, which is really nice. It's pretty cool interaction. I like it a lot, and it, most importantly, allows me to not play Heavenly Prison ever again. Thank God. And then the extra deck is mostly what you expect, and Muckraker, Dark Charmer, that one, Beat Cop, Board Blocker, because you have a whole bunch of field spells, and then like a Zeus package and Levier. Basically what you expect. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. We'll see how long I can keep this streak up. But I like this. I like this build a lot. I've been doing a lot of testing. It's been playing pretty well. it's hard to judge it because I'm not not confident the legality of tier, but more importantly, I've actually not been playing against a lot of tier on accident. Like, I'm not running into it very much. I think other people are kind of getting sick of it, but we'll see how this is. Against tier, like, you have Necro Valley and DDG, and, like, you can win games, but it's again, it's a tier 0 deck. It's very difficult to beat. But if you try to assign too many cards to beat it, you have a deck that barely beats it and unplayable against everything else. So it's not worth dedicating a deck to beat one deck, especially not right now. The game doesn't really work with that kind of strategy anymore, and it's arguably never been a good idea to do that, but it is what it is. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you all for watching, and remember, Master Interflex will take